All right, so Anki, what is it? Anki is a tool that is used by us students or other people to use a system called spaced repetition. Spaced repetition is a type of studying method. Let me just open something so that we can have a better idea of what it is. A way to actually go over, you guys, you still see it, right?
Yeah, we do.
Okay, fantastic. A way to go over material that you're studying for the long term in order to maintain that material in your head for a long period of time. What does it mean? It means that you study a subject, say on day one, and you go over it on the next day. If you still remember it, congrats, you can go over it in 3 days from now. If you still remember it then in 6 days from now, and so on and so forth. Now, if you're astute, you'll see that the more times you get it right, the longer the intervals become, because the information that is inside of that you just studied is being maintained and used for a longer period of time. Therefore, you're studying it more effectively for a short, like you're knowing it in the end of the day. You're not just remembering it. Now, Anki can be downloaded from the Anki web. I will provide all the links at the end so you guys don't have to worry about that. Once downloaded, the program looks something a bit like this. Where we have decks, subdecks, and cards. I have a deck here prepared for my clinical anatomy examination, which is going to be tomorrow. Wish me luck. And so we can already go over a bit of some cards I have here just to get an idea of what Anki is. Now, this is a card I made, specifically of the punctum nervosum, which is the nerve point from that exits the anterior scalene, with a certain nerves that are important to know. And I've covered the answers, so I can actually go over the question and actually see if I actually know it. So here we have 4 options. I got it wrong, so I'm gonna have to do this again. It was hard for me. I had a hard time to really remember the answer. So we can do it again in 2 days from now. Good. We can do it in 4 days from now. Easy. I'll push back to 6 days. If we go back here, that just means that in 4 days, we're just going to be doing it again in order to just make sure that I actually know the actual stuff. And you can do this for anatomy. You can do this for languages. I have a German deck here. I was going to show you. See you again. I think it's bis morgen. I don't actually remember. Being honest, I'll be the same. So you can use this for many different types of subjects. Now, once downloading the deck, the program, let's talk about how to actually apply it and actually use it. So we go to create a deck. Let's say trial. And I'm assuming most of you guys are going to be in first year, so let's do trial anatomy. Let's go over what I did here. Trial is going to be the name of the deck. Then you do 2 dots times 2. That makes the subdeck, and then anatomy. So then we go trial, anatomy, easy. So let's press on the deck that I want to add the cards to. So we go up here, add, and now we opened up this type of menu. Now, this type of menu, I just want to get rid of this. High floating menu controls. We have the type of card, and we have the decks that it's currently located in. So trial anatomy, that's the deck that we want to be using now. Now let's go over the types of cards that we actually have. We have a basic card. Basic just means kind of like your classic flashcard. You can have the front and the back. So this would be good for languages. So for instance, if you wanted to study, let's say Hebrew, I don't know. So you'd want to say like, okay, how do I study the word sun? Sun in Hebrew is shemesh. And then I would add it. And then let's just check out how that looks like. Sun, then you practice it. Sun, shemesh. And again, if you got it good, congrats. First time you do it twice, and then the next time it's only once. Now let's go over some more card types. So that was basic. Basic and reverse, that's just going to mean that what's going to be on the front can also be on the next day on the back. Again, this is pretty good for languages, less so for kind of subjects that you're doing. So this would be better for like if you're doing Czech, for instance. This is how I study Czech. I just put the verb and I put the verb in English and I just practice it back and forth, you know, day in, day out. That's basic and reversed. My favorite card to use when studying medicine is going to be the closed deletion. Specifically, I like to use the closed Launauta. I'll talk about the different types of cards that you can acquire around the internet, which pretty much means that I can do something like this. Let's take a look at the pelvis. I'm just picking up an important here. Okay. This would be like a high yield fact. The perineum is an anatomical region located in the pelvis between the thighs, represents the most inferior part of the pelvic outlet. This would be like a high yield point that I'd say want to study. So I take this high yield point, and what I want to ask myself the question. So what is in an anatomical region in the pelvis located between the thighs and represents the most inferior part of the pelvic outlet? The answer would be perineum. So what I just did now, specifically on Windows, I'm not sure what the command is, but on Mac, it's Shift Command C. Again, so Shift Command C on the specific word, and then you get this closed deletion, which pretty much, if I show you what it actually does, blocks out that individual highlighted term. So the perineum is the anatomical region located in this pelvis, and that's how you can actually study high yield information for a long period of time, and then just studying it to actually know it instead of just remembering it. And there's one last card type which I think is important to go over. This is a card type which isn't in the base version of Anki. It's called a image occlusion. Don't worry, I'll be providing the links to get all of these soon. So what is image occlusion? Image occlusion is the first card I showed you guys in the anatomy section. So it pretty much creates a card that hides part of the image, exactly that. And again, we can go to Teach Me Anatomy, which is a very good source I use to study some basic anatomical facts. You find a good image which has a lot of high yield information in it. I just copied it, and you just go press on this button right here, and we get this new menu where we can then drag and place these cards. Every single rectangle represents a card that then is added to the deck that you chose. So the deck that I chose was the trial anatomy. We can then do hide all, guess one, which means that every single one of these tabs is blocked and you have to guess one. Or you can do hide one, guess one, where everything else is open except for that one which is blocked, and then you can practice that one. This one is good specifically for biochem, and I'll get to that in a second. So let's go to the trial anatomy. I'm assuming this is going to say like the inferior pubic ramus or something, but I might be wrong. I was right. Anyways, so that's pretty much how to use this this tool here. Now, those are the types of cards. We went over how to make a sub deck. Now let's talk about what I have here, because I don't know if some of you know Anki, don't know Anki, but I have some things here that aren't in the basic version of Anki. These are called extensions. So I'll just show you what extensions I have here, or add-ons. Sorry. I have the Amboss add-on, the customized keyboard shortcuts add-on, the image occlusion enhanced add-on, and the review heat map add-on. The image occlusion add-on we just went over. That's for the anatomy mostly, and you can also use it for other things. The review heat map just shows me how many cards I studied on which day. Just lets me have an idea of how my progress is. It also helps you stay in the mood to continue your streak. This here was a vacation, for instance. The keyboard shortcut, that specifically helps me out when you're doing a lot of cards, and you will be doing a lot of cards if you use Anki properly. you don't want to be using your mouse and a touchpad on the laptop. You want to have your fingers located in a comfortable position for a long period of time. And so what I like to do is I like to hotkey keyboard shortcuts on my keyboard, and then I can just use those. I'll be providing the code that you have to then insert into the, let me just show you this. You go into the customized keyboard shortcuts, you have to double click it, and then you get this kind of daunting looking code. I wrote a bit of code for myself here, and I'll be providing this for you. So all you have to do is take the review choice duplicate and just place it in here. And then this will hotkey KL, forgot that what that sign is, and the comma. And this will just make your life so much easier. Trust me, it's just better. Okay, that was the keyboard shortcuts. Now the Amboss add-on. I'm gonna get to this one in a second. It's a super, super cool add-on. Not many people know about it, which is insane. But I want to go over specifically the ways to use Anki for every single year. So we went over anatomy and how to use it for anatomy. You can use image occlusion. You can use closed deletions for high yield points. Histo, same thing. You know, if you get a histo slide, I have one prepared here on the internet, then it's just really easy. Or I don't have, so you just go like, you know, tongue histo slide. Images, you know, it's all on the internet there. Just you can find whatever slide here fits your fancy, place it into the Anki, maybe even a basic card. You can go say, by the way, this all works with text and with images. So you can go basic, just pick up the card that you want, copy image, place it into a trial, say, histo deck. So again, you do trial histo for the sub deck, and then you can say what tissue is this? What stain is used? Then you get your image here. You can do the back, tongue, HE stain probably. So this is just how to use it for histo, for instance. Just a suggestion. Again, you can find better images online. You can use, for instance, the Memorex histo. I used it all the time for the closed for the image occlusion, like similar to anatomy. And you can also use it for high yield points. So like lists and stuff like that. Again, you can put it in a close and just go over it. There is one thing I wanted to go over again with the close because I don't think I explained it properly. When making, for instance, a list view that you want to study, you can use the close deletion cards, like as we said, the Shift Command C multiple times, and C1 is going to represent the first card. C2 is going to represent the second card, and these cards will then show up one day after the other. So when I say study this list, I put it into the histo. So this is going to be the first one. And it's not going to show the second one. The second one's going to be the next day. If you then wanted to do the second one on the same day, you could unbury the cards, which is an option that you can press here. And then you'll get the second one. That's just another tip on closed deletions. So that's pretty much for first year. Second year, biochem. Oh, by the way, I'm going according to LF1 division of curriculum. So first year we have anatomy and histo. Second year it's going to be like genetics, biochem, and physio. So physio, that already brings me into, and biochem, that already brings me into the special deck that you can find online. I'll be providing the link afterwards. Anking. This is going to be, if you use Anki properly and you use it every single day, and if you do, I promise you, you're going to have so much of an easier time in medical school, and you're going to get the best grades in your class. There's almost no question about it. Anki is going to be your best friend. It has every single subject that you need to have in your curriculum for step one. So as you study for your school curriculum, you're also prepping for your USMLEs, which is insane. And I don't have to tell you how important that is. We have it also for the step twos. I can't tell you if it's good or not because I haven't used it. So step one, let's go over what this actually looks like. So you go in, we have these three decks. We have Zanki Pharma, Zanki Steps, and Lal Natakop. Lal Natakop is going to include the best cards for microbiology and pharmacology. Zanki Pharmacology is going to have the best deck specifically for anti-cancer medications. And the Zanki Step decks, it's big. I'm sure you've noticed that there's thousands of cards here. No one is expecting you to do thousands of cards a day. But that being said, you should be doing a large volume of cards in order to cram the relevant subjects on a long period of time. Because it is quite a bit of things that you have to know. So we were speaking about second year, we were speaking about physiology. Physiology, in every single one of these Zanki decks, we have the pathology and we have the physiology. The physiology, these are pre-made cards, meaning that you don't have to, I'm not going to say that you waste time making cards. In my opinion, it's just another way of studying subjects. But this already is a pre-built deck, which has really high quality cards and also references in it. And I'll show you what I mean in a second. So pretty much what we have here is a pre-made deck for physiology. I haven't used it. I made my own decks for physiology, but if I could, I would have, and I think you guys should too. Just take a look, see if it fits your fancy. If not, make your own cards. Specifically in pathology, though, I don't think we actually have it here. This is what I wanted to show you. Sketchy is another very good tool that you'll be using for microbiology and pharmacology. And these pre-built decks already have the references to the Sketchy video in it, which is very, very comfortable to use. And I really recommend everyone to actually be using it for their pharmacology, for their microbiology. So I think we're going to have to speak a lot more about this deck here, because there are a couple of hang-ups on it. Specifically, I was showing you how the decks and subdecks are built here, and this is how you can do it yourself. But when you're using the Anking pharmacology deck, specifically the Zanki pharmacology, I got mixed up, by the way. The Lal Natakop is the best for the pharma for the chemo drugs. Zanki pharmacology is best for all the other pharma drugs, and the sketchies involved. The way that you actually unlock these decks, you'll notice that there aren't any subdecks. You have to go into Browse. Now, Browse is another tool that we're going to have to go through. When you go into Browse, it actually just opens up all the cards which are located in the specific deck that you pressed on. So this is the trial anatomy. You'll see that these are the cards that we made throughout the entire seminar. If you right click on any one of these cards, we have the ability to change deck. We can move it into another deck. So for instance, I can move this anatomy card into the histo deck. We can flag them in different colors. Red, I only use the red flag to flag things that I need to study again, but you have other colors. And you also have delete. So you go into, let's do this again. Right click, notes, delete. And you can also edit the cards here on the right side. Now, back on track to the Zanki pharmacology. When going into Zanki pharmacology, you go into the Browse. This is a bit tricky, but it's very easy. So pretty much you have tags. Each one of these cards was made by a very diligent student, and he and probably a large team of people tagged each one of these cards and put them into specific groups. These groups are located here. So anything that has to do with the cancer tag is going to be located. Okay, none of these tags are working. So these are going to be the tags. So again, we have sketchy pathology, sketchy farm. When downloading the Anki deck, you go into the browse, you type in the sketchy farm up here, and then you're going to get this sign that says flag these cards. What does that mean? Flagging a card means that you're suspending it. You're suspending it for it to not show up in your deck. So you do Control A, you press Control J, and that's going to flag all the cards. They're going to be marked yellow. And then when you want to do a specific subject, you have to unflag those cards. So what does that mean? I'm doing pharmacology now, and I want to study heparin. So I go into Sketchy Farm. Here we have the tag. And I have to go into the specific subdeck. So I'm going to look for blood and inflammation, anticoagulants, and here we have heparin. I already did heparin, so I unflagged it all. So it would look something like this when I get into it. Flag means, again, it's not going to show up. So I have to do Control A, Control J. Now I've unflagged all the cards in the sketchy farm deck. And when I exit it, I can then study the specific heparin deck. They're all going to be mixed together, every single card that you unflag. And if you want to do one specifically of a specific subject, you're going to have to flag all the other cards in order to do that specific deck. That's just how Anki was built. I didn't make it. I don't like the way it's made, but that's just how it is. So that's how to use the Zanki, specifically Zanki Farm and Zanki Microbiome deck. How do I download it? I'll be providing the link, but you just go into this Reddit page, and we have a link here for the mega file, or for if that doesn't work, you can go to the Google Drive link, download it. It's a huge deck, super helpful, and then you can get to work on studying. Now, one of the last subjects we have to go over with this seminar is going to be the Amboss tool that I was referring to. I'll remind you guys, going to add-ons. The Amboss add-on is located here. What is it? So this is, again, going to be geared specifically for LF1. We're provided with Amboss, a free Amboss subscription for students from the third year. So that's why it makes this tool so effective in using. Pretty much, the Amboss tool provides a kind of like a dictionary that's attached to the Anki, which you see the blue highlight here. I can then put my cursor over this term, and I'll have the specific Amboss index for that term. It does it automatically. I don't have to do it. You can also write whatever you want in your specific cards, and it'll show up as well. If I want to read more about it, I right-click that, and I have this Amboss viewer, and it just opens it up automatically. This is super important because I think, as some of you might have caught on, if you just do Anki for the sake of getting through the cards and just trying to remember the terms instead of actually learning the terms, you're not actually going to know the subjects. If a professor comes and asks you the question, you're not going to be able to give a good explanation. That's why it's important to have as many extra modalities associated with the card in order to actually study the stuff. So say I'm doing this card and I forgot what an antiarrhythmic is. So I look into it. It's a group of drugs used to restore sinus rhythm. Okay, so it has to do with like arrhythmias, antiarrhythmics, makes sense. And then I can do that for almost every single medical term you can think of. It's super variable how this tool works. In addition, we have on the Anking, like I said, sources like first aid, which you can also read, the boot camp link, the entire sketchy index of terms for the specific video associated with the card. Overall, you're not going just to be remembering the subject, you're also going to be studying the actual material and understanding it at a deeper level. Now, that's only one aspect of this Amboss tool. There's actually another one that people don't know as well. So this one is relatively new, where we have a Q bank, which is automatically made associated with the terms from the newly matured cards. Newly matured cards means cards that you've mastered recently. And Amboss will then put together a Q bank, which you can decide the amount of questions. Say, let's just do 10 questions for the sake of this seminar. You can start the session, and this will give you a different modality of studying, and that's the open questions more associated with the USMLEs. And this is also just a really good way of mixing your spaced repetition and active learning from one side, and also your QBank's active learning on the other side, of actually taking the information that you've studied from your cards and applying it to the how the USMLE will look, or case studies, and actually finding out how it is seen in a MCQ format. I like to mix these both. I like to do the cards and then also do some case studies, just so that I can have an idea of what it looks like in the real world, and it just isn't just a some words on a screen. That's why this Amboss tool is so effective. I'll be providing all the links to it at the end of the video again. Now, how do I add the add-ons? Again, we go to Tools, Add-ons, Get Add-ons, and then we'll have the ability to add a code. Now, I'm not going to be adding any of the codes, but pretty much we have the codes located on the Anki website. This is the code. You take the code and then you just apply it here, okay, and it does it automatically, and then it just adds it. So that's true for the review heat map. It's true for the image occlusion enhanced. It's true for everything. So that's how to actually get the add-ons. In addition, syncing. Syncing just refers to syncing to your Anki web account. I really recommend, even the iOS people around here, I'm one of them. I think if you're going to be using Anki seriously, it's great to have it on your iPad, and it's great to have it on your phone. Just while like waiting on the tram, you can do some cards. You'll be doing cards all the time if you use this correctly. And so it's important to have it as accessible and easy to use as possible. So you make the Anki web account, and you can do so, I think, from this menu here. You go in and you actually make the account, or also from the web browser, and then you make then once you sign in, you can then sign in also on your external devices. And then once you sync, you're syncing your cards from your computer onto the cards on your iPhone. And by the way, it's seamless in regards to the Amboss. You'll still have the Amboss tool on your phone without needing to download it. And so that's just another fantastic way of studying on the go. If you're in a boring lecture, we all are sometimes, you can also just practice your Ankis there. So yeah, I'm just gonna make sure I went over everything. Yeah, that's it. So we like just to summarize, we went over what is spaced repetition. We've described what the program of Anki is good for, why it's good. We went over how to make a basic card, how to make a reversed card, how to make a closed deletion, how to make a image occlusion card for anatomy and other such subjects. How to use the add-ons, how to add add-ons. You can, by the way, there's a whole library of different add-ons. I just like to keep it simple. So I've used not that many. What the Amboss add-on is, how it works, how to make the QBank using the Amboss add-on, what Anking is, how to download it, how to suspend and unsuspend specific decks for pharmacology and microbiology. We went over tools for first year, for second year, third year, and fourth year. And I think that's it. I'll be glad to answer any questions. If anyone had a difficulty understanding a specific mechanism or so on, I'd be glad to answer now.
Yeah, I have a question.
Of course.
Hi. So, half of my year already tried it on my Anki, but it's not possible somehow with my Anki. It's about the
Okay.
Anki, and it's about microbiology. So
Okay.
when I want to study, for example, just Staph aureus,
Okay.
I go to browse. I go
Yeah.
to micro gram-positive cocci,
Yeah.
Staph aureus. And then I do comment A and then comment J. And then I close the tab and it should be there, right? But it's just not.
Yeah. So when is it yellow when you did the command A, command J, or is it black?
It's still blue.
It's blue. So it has to, sorry, not black. It should be white. It should be, there should be nothing selected.
When I do comment A and then comment J.
Okay, command. All right, so I'm not working with Windows. I'm working with Mac, so it's going to be. Oh yeah, sorry, it is Mac. So it should be looking like I'm using the dark mode, but you see that there's nothing selected.
Yeah.
You see? So try doing it on yours.
Yeah.
And then you should have it. Your raise expression is that's positive, I think. Yeah. Does it? So did it work now?
Wait, so I don't select anything. I just do comment J or what?
No, you have to do, of course, everything.
Yeah, comment A, comment J. And then I just close the browse tab.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it says congrats, you have finished this desk for now.
I'm gonna help you afterwards because I think I might have an idea of what might be the issue there. Actually, you know what? Let's go over it now. Actually, this is good that we went over this. So when doing Anki, the default is that you're limited to a specific amount of new cards a day. What does that mean? It means that if I say I made a deck and I wanted to do all the entire deck, the default is going to be limited to 20 cards. What does that look like? It looks something like this. You did 20 cards and it says, congratulations, you finished this deck for now. So you go into the custom study feature and you have to increase today's new card limit. I do 999 new cards. I do the amount of new cards that I want to be studying. So that's going to be the new cards that I'll be studying for that specific day. But my reviews are set on the maximum. The way that looks like is you go to the wheel on the right here, you go to options, new cards a day, maximum reviews, maximum. And then you decide how many new cards you want to be doing. So how about you give that a try now?
Yeah.
Nina.
Yeah. So I go to new cards a day. Yeah, it says 999.
For both of them?
Yeah.
All right, I'll have to help you afterwards. But don't worry about it. I'll give it a shot once we finish with the seminar. Anyone else?
Ori, there are questions on the chat.
I'll take a look right now.
Yeah.
Do you want me to read them out to you?
No, I want to open them, but I'm not really sure how.
I can read them out to you.
All right, so read them out in the meantime.
There's a question asking, can you elaborate on the unflagged cards thing?
Yeah, let's do it again. I think that was the biggest issue here with Anking in general. So let's use Nina's example. I want to study Staph aureus, the first bug that we have to do for the bacterials with Sketchy. So we downloaded Anking. Cool. Like I said, first thing you want to do You go into options, you put the new cards at the maximum, you put your reviews at the maximum. All right. You can just then decide how many you want to do that day. You don't need a machine to tell you. Then you want to go to step 1, open it up. Lal not a cop is where the bugs are. You can go to browse. And now let's search up Staphylococci and infectious diseases. You can also just go, by the way, to Sketchy Micro. And also do it from here. Sketchy Micro, put it down. So this is where the search is, yeah? You put in Sketchy Micro, bacteria, gram-positive cocci, specifically Staph aureus. Control A, Control J. Again, should all be flagged once you download it. You flag all these cards. All the cards in the Lal not a cop should be flagged. And this is in order to make sure that you can have the specific cards that you want to study. Excuse me. You go into Staph aureus, Control A, Control J. Now it's unflagged. Now it should be open. Now then we exit the Browse tab. Study now. Which exotoxin from Staph aureus causes rapid onset food poisoning? The preformed enterotoxins. And now it should be working. Again, with all of your extra, what's called, modalities around it. Does that make sense? Or do you guys need help doing it again?
I think so. It's understandable now. I'll move on to the next question.
Right.
So the next question is, as a second-year student, I have a lot of cards to make on a daily basis, and I'm unable to find time to revise any of them. So my question is, how do you manage making new cards and revising all the ones previously made?
That's a really good question. First year, I had an incredibly difficult time with doing just that, making the new cards. It was super time consuming because you have to read the subject, you have to highlight the important information, and then you have to make the cards. There are tools out there that are kind of like shortcuts that use like AI and stuff like that, specifically called PDF to Anki. I'll show you what it looks like. Which pretty much like you put in a PDF of whatever thing that you're trying to study, and it'll automatically make close deletion type cards for you. I haven't used it. I used it a couple times. I'm not a big fan of AI doing my work for me. That being said, there's a lot of pre-made decks in the past. Like, you can find it on Reddit, you can find it on the internet quite easily. But I think that the major switch a student has to make if they want to commit to using Anki is that Anki has to be the main way that you study. Everything else is something that you do for Anki. You study to make the cards. You study the cards so that you can then, understand the subject a lot better. That's the end goal. It's going to sound crazy now, but there's no reason why students shouldn't be able to do 700 to 1,000 cards a day of, say, pathology. Like that should be the mindset that you're in. And at first it'll be hard, I know, but once you do it enough times, you just see how much better you're getting. You just see how much easier it is. And there's the most important take home from this seminar should be, if you're doing Anki, you do all of the cards that you set out to do. The ones that are there for you to do, you have to finish them every single day without question. This whole idea of spaced repetition, it only works if you do the cards that you're meant to do every single day. If not, you're gonna start lagging and it's not going to work properly, and you're just gonna get frustrated. And why? That's why I said, download it on your phone, do it on your do it when you're waiting, take breaks, but finish your cards. Finish your cards. That's all I have to say in the end of the day. What's the other question?
The next question is, can we find pre-made cards from Anki database? I think so you means from the Anki website.
Yeah, there are pre-made there are decks from the website, but I haven't used any. so I can't say if they're good or bad. Honestly, besides like Anking and some other ECG deck that I found from Reddit, I think Reddit is the best way to actually vet decks of cards, because you just have just such a mass of people that come and say if it's good or bad. Again, if you're beginning to use Anki, I would recommend that you make your own cards just to get the feel of it, so that you can know how to edit cards, because sometimes you want to add specific things. So for instance, like if I wanted to, let's do Anki step, cardiovascular pathology, study now. What I say, I wanted to add a specific, like, I should be able to know how to do this. Like I want to be able to modify the pre-made cards, so I can put that in the extra. And the only way you can do that is actually knowing how to make your own cards. But besides Anking and several other, really basic ECG decks, I don't think that you should be looking in the Anki database. What else? Unless you're doing languages. Languages, they have really good preform decks. That's true. Yeah.
The next question is from Amna. When you're making Ankis, should you only have one word to one sentence at the back of the card?
In my opinion, the moment you start to add too much information, you start to get lost. You should definitely just try to maintain the sentences concise and high yield. If you need help doing it, no one's gonna beat you up for using ChatGPT. If you want to like make a high yield sentence, I could say like, say I opened up this, and I have no idea, like, I don't know how to make this into like a high yield list. Like I think all of this is important. So you can just take this entire paragraph here, go into ChatGPT. Hey, could you make this into a high yield close deletion type note? Let's try doing that. Why not? That's something I used to do. Could you make the following paragraph into a high yield single sentence, not single sentence, a high yield list type close deletion Anki card? And then you could I'll say, yeah, certainly. All right, that didn't work. You guys can figure it out. But pretty much, yeah, you can use the ChatGPT in order to like make it more concise. That's all I wanted to say. This actually made it longer, which is really funny. Okay, next question.
Next one is from Kapoor Chaitanya. Hello, Ori. Do you recommend changing the interval modifier, current interval settings, etc.?
No, don't touch the interval modifier. The program knows really well how to maintain the specific intervals. I wouldn't mess around with it. I've kept it the way it is for 4 years now. I think that it's fine. Yeah, that's my opinion though. If other people prefer to have like a longer interval, that's up to them. But I prefer not to.
Only change the new card number, right? In the settings.
Yeah, definitely. You just change the new card number. Yeah, and then you just do all of your due cards for that day. Again, I'm gonna just reiterate: the due cards is the green cards. The new cards are the blue cards. So blue cards are new cards that you haven't seen yet, and you're gonna do them twice. And then the next day they're gonna be due, which means you should be doing all of your green cards. You don't do all the new cards. That you can decide how many you want to do per day. Some say 200 is a good number. And again, the way that you do that, you go into options, 200 due cards. I would keep this at 999 for the maximum reviews. That's just the way I like to do it. And then you would do the deck. Again, intervals, I wouldn't touch it, but to each their own.